Tay stood at the large window of the Galactic Council main chamber looking out at the stars. His hands were behind his back. His face showed no feeling, but inside anger burned like a sun. The council had just voted. The decision was final. "Ambassador, Tay, you must understand our position," said High Counselor Murlax, his blue tentacles waving gently. "Humans are simply too unpredictable. Too dangerous." Tay turned slowly. The chamber was huge, with seats for representatives of over 200 alien species. Most were filled today. This was, after all, a historic moment. "For 50 years, Tay said, his voice steady. "Humans have followed your rules. We have shared our technology. We have fought your wars. We have died for your causes." He looked around the room. "And now you tell us we are too dangerous." Counselor Drevel, a tall insect like being, clicked her mandibles. "Your kind solved space travel in just 300 years after discovering electricity. You made our weapons 10 times more effective. Your soldiers fight with a wild spirit that disturbs many council races. We change, we survive." "That is what humans do," Tay replied. "And you are afraid of that?" "Yes," said Murlax simply. "We are young." High Tay's assistant stepped forward. Her face showed the anger that Tay was hiding. "So that is it? After everything we have given you are just kicking us out?" No one in the room could look at her. "The vote has been cast," Murlax said finally. "Humanity is asked to leave all council activities, give back all council technologies, and return to their solar system within 1 standard year." Tay nodded slowly. "I understand." He turned to Hay. "Send the message to Earth. Tell them we are coming home." As they walked out of the chamber, Hay whispered, "What now?" Tay's face finally showed a hint of feeling, not anger but strong will. Now we show them exactly what they are afraid of." Back on Earth, President Jin got the message in her office at New Geneva. Her advisors sat around her, faces grim as the screen showed. "Tay's report, they cannot do this," said Defense Minister Do, hitting his fist on the table. "We have given everything to the council." Jin raised her hand for quiet. "They can and they have." She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the shining city. "The question is, what do we do now?" Science Minister Sun cleared her throat. "Madam President, there is something you should know. Project Horizon, it is ready." Everyone in the room turned to look at her. Project Horizon had been Earth's most secret research plan, a completely human-made, faster than light drive system. One that did not need council technology. "You are certain?" Jin asked. Sun nodded. "It is faster than the council drives. Much faster, and they do not know about it." Jin looked around the room at each advisor. "Ladies and gentlemen, it seems we have a decision to make. Do we quietly accept the council's judgment? Or do we make our own path among the stars? They fear us now," said Do. "Wait until they see what humanity does when we have nothing left to lose." Jin nodded slowly. "Send word to all our colonies, begin the withdrawal, but quietly start moving all important people and equipment to the Horizon facilities." She looked back at the image of Tay. "Tell Ambassador Tay to act nice. Buy us time," and then asked Hay from the screen. Jin's eyes got hard. "And then we show the galaxy what happens when you corner humanity." On the outer colony of New Busan, news of the council's decision spread quickly. In a small repair shop, mechanic Wu worked hard on a small spacecraft engine. "They cannot make us leave," said his friend Q, sitting nearby. "This is our home now." Wu did not look up from his work. "They can try. What are you doing anyway?" Q asked, looking at the engine. Wu finally looked up, his hands covered in grease. "Improving it. If we have to run, we will run fast." All across human space, similar scenes played out. Scientists worked overtime on new technologies. Military officers made plans. Ordinary people prepared for the unknown. Humanity had always been good at changing, at surviving. It was what they did best. And now, facing rejection by the galactic community they had tried so hard to join, they would show just how good at it they were. In the darkness of space, Ambassador Tay's ship began its long journey back to Earth. As he watched the council station grow smaller through the window, he made a promise to himself. This was not the end of humanity's story in the stars. It was just the beginning. Back on Earth, President Jin called for an emergency meeting with all colony leaders. They met through secure channels that the Council could not detect. The Council's decision changes everything, Jin said. We have 1 year to prepare. What they do not know is that we have been planning for this possible outcome for years. Colony leader back from Alpha Centauri spoke up. My people will not give up their homes without a fight. That is not what we are asking. Jin replied calmly. We want everyone to act like we are obeying. Make the Council believe we have accepted their decision, but in reality asked Governor. So from the mining colonies we will be building. Jin showed them images of Project Horizon, the fastest ships ever made by human hands, and this. She showed another image of large, ring-shaped structure. What is that? Someone asked. The future, Jin replied. The gateway. Our path to freedom? On the colony world of Terra Nova, young engineer Bin worked day and night with her team. They had been told their work was now the highest priority. The new drive systems had to be perfect. This will let us travel 10 times faster than the Council ship, she explained to her team. They think they are caging us, but they are setting us free. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, the first pieces of the gateway were being assembled in secret, hidden from Council observers. By new stealth technology, Chief Engineer Ryu floated in space, supervising the massive construction project. When complete, the gateway would be the largest structure ever built by human hands. How much longer? Asked his assistant. 3 months if we push the teams hard, Ryu replied. And we must be ready in time. Meanwhile, Ambassador Tay met secretly with leaders from other alien races, those who had opposed the Council's decision. You understand what this means, said Zalon, a representative of the Lyri people. The Council fears human potential so much they would rather lose you as allies. Tay nodded. It seems so. This will change the balance of power. Zalon warned the Council. Does not realize they are creating exactly what they fear most, a humanity with no reason to hold back. Tay smiled for the first time since the vote. Perhaps that was always our destiny. As the weeks passed, humans everywhere prepared. Some built ships. Some gathered supplies. Some trained for new roles in the coming exodus, but all shared a common feeling. The Council had made a terrible mistake. In military headquarters on Luna, General Kim reviewed the latest designs for ships that would protect humanity during their great journey. They are beautiful, he said, looking at the holographic displays of vessels unlike anything humans had built before. They are just the beginning, replied Admiral Lee. These ships will ensure that wherever humanity goes, we will never be at anyone's mercy again. Deep in secret laboratories, scientists worked on weapons, communication systems, and defenses, all free from Council restrictions, all advancing at amazing speed. The fear that had caused the Council to reject humanity was becoming a reality. Because of their decision, humans were now developing faster than ever before. One night, as Tai looked up at the stars from Earth's surface, a young child approached him. Are we really leaving? She asked. Tai smiled gently at her. Not leaving, little one. Expanding our story among the stars is just beginning. The Council thinks they have ended our journey, but they have only freed us to reach even further. The child looked confused. When you are older, you will understand, Tai said. Sometimes being told you cannot do something is exactly what you need to show that you can. In 1 year, humanity would show the galaxy exactly what they were capable of, and the universe would never be the same again. 6 months after the Council decision, the human withdrawal was going exactly as ordered. Or so it seemed, in the asteroid belt of the Proxima Centauri system. Commander Ju floated through the narrow halls of the mining station that was her temporary headquarters. The station looked empty from the outside, just as planned. Status report, she said as she entered the command center. Captain Min looked up from his screen. The Council inspection ship just left the main colony. They believe we are in the final stages of leaving. Ju nodded. And our actual status hidden fleet is at 70% ready. The Horizon drives are installed on all big ships. We are still working on the smaller ones. On the main screen, a hidden dock inside a hollow asteroid showed dozens of ships. Some were known human military vessels. Others were new designs built just for what was coming. The Council really thinks we are just going to go quietly back to Earth and stay there, Ju said, shaking her head. Min smiled. They do not understand humans very well. Meanwhile on Earth, President Jin met with her cabinet in an underground base deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The room was safe from any possible spying. The Council observers report that we are doing perfectly, with the withdrawal order, said Foreign Minister Park. They are pleased with how we are working with them. Defense Minister Do laughed. Of course they are. Jin studied the display showing the status of humanity's secret plans. Project Exodus is going on schedule. How is the work on the new weapon systems? Science Minister Sun touched her tablet, and the display changed to show plans for several new weapon designs. Without Council rules, our research teams have made amazing progress. The new bombing system alone is 3 times more powerful than anything we made while in the Council, and they do not suspect anything. Jin asked. Intelligence Director Bach shook his head. Our sources say they believe humans are a beaten people. They think we have accepted our fate. Jean's face got hard. Good, keep it that way for now. She looked around the table. In 3 months we make our move. Until then, total secrecy is needed. As the meeting ended, Jin asked Sun to stay behind. How is the special project coming along, she asked when they were alone. Sun's eyes lit up. The gateway. It is better than our most hopeful guesses. If our ideas are right, it will let us reach areas of space the Council has never even dreamed of getting to. Jin nodded slowly. Good, that may be our greatest advantage. Across human space, the public withdrawal continued. Ships loaded with colonists left outposts and headed toward Earth. Council observers watched with happiness. What they did not see were the secret compartments in those ships filled with military hardware and science equipment. They did not catch the hidden messages planning humanity's real plans, and they certainly did not know about the fleets gathering in the shadows of gas giants and inside hollow asteroids on the colony world of New Sol. Most of the human settlers had apparently left. The once busy streets were nearly empty. Council Representative Zlarks walked alongside the human governor. Ho, your people have been very helpful, Zlarks said, his translator, changing his clicks and whistles into human speech. The Council appreciates this. Governor Ho smiled politely. We understand the Council's decision. What Zlarks did not know was that beneath the colony's main city, thousands of humans still lived and worked. In huge underground spaces, the factories had not shut down, they had simply moved below ground. As night fell, and Zlarks returned to his ship, Ho went down to the underground command center. How much longer do we need to keep up this act? Asked his deputy. A young woman named Ran Ho checked the latest update from Earth. Just a few more months. Then we show them what humanity is really made of. In deep space, Ambassador Tai's ship met with a small unmarked vessel. Tai moved aboard, leaving his official ship, to continue its journey to Earth without him. Welcome aboard, Ambassador, said Captain Song as Tai entered the bridge. Thank you, Captain. What is our destination? Song brought up a star map on the main screen. The Edge President Jin wants you to personally watch over the final preparations. Tai studied the location marked on the chart, a faraway star system far from any Council traffic. The Edge. Good name for what we are planning. Very good. Song agreed. As the ship turned on its engines, the new human designed Horizon Drive and disappeared into faster-than-light travel. Tai thought about the Council's decision again. They had feared humanity's potential, their ability to adapt their drive. They were right to be afraid. But instead of containing that power, they had set it free. In 3 months, the galaxy would learn just what a mistake that had been. On the ice moon of Europa, deep under the frozen surface, Engineer Doc worked with her team testing the final components for the new gateway. The energy requirements are huge, she told her assistant Tran. But we have solved the problem with the new fusion system. Tran looked at the massive power core. This will change everything, won't it? Doc nodded. When the gateway opens, we will have access to regions of space the Council has never reached. We will be truly free for the first time, above them through miles of ice. Council observers monitored the apparent shutdown of the Europa research station. They saw only what humans wanted them to see, in a hidden base on Mars. General SEO reviewed the combat readiness of the military ships that would protect the Exodus. "We are at 85% battle ready," he told his officers. "The new weapon systems are being installed on schedule." "What about the stealth systems?" asked Colonel Han. "Will they really hide us from Council sensors?" SEO nodded. "We have tested them extensively. The Council will not see us until we want to be seen." Meanwhile, on the colony of Alpha Centauri B, children trained in simulators learning the skills they would need in their new homes. Teacher Lin watched as young students practiced operating hydroponic systems, building shelters, and basic survival skills. They were preparing for life on untouched worlds no human had yet set foot on. "These children will be the pioneers," she thought. "They will build a new human civilization far from Council space back on Earth." President Jin made a public address to calm fears about the withdrawal. "We will adapt," she told the billions watching. "We always have." While she spoke in reassuring tones about returning to Earth, her real message was hidden in plain sight, using phrases that had been agreed upon beforehand. Across human space, those who knew the code understood. The plan was proceeding. The hidden fleet was almost ready. The gateway neared completion. In orbit around Jupiter, the massive construction ships worked in the shadow of the giant planet, assembling the final sections of the gateway. Their work hidden by new technology that bent light around them, making them invisible to Council observers. Chief Engineer Pal floated in his spacesuit, supervising the connection of the main power conduits. "This is the most important thing humanity has ever built," he told his teams. "When this is done, we will have a path to the stars that no one can close." In a secret meeting room on Luna, Admiral Yu briefed the captains who would lead the first ships through the gateway. "Once we pass through, we will establish defensive positions immediately," he explained. "We cannot know for certain what awaits us, but we must be prepared for anything." "Captain." Du raised her hand. "What if the Council discovers our plan before we are ready?" Yu's face was serious. "Then we fight. Our ships are already more advanced than anything the Council has, and they are scattered throughout the system. They cannot stop all of us on the Mars colony." A Council observer named Grell reported back to his superiors. "The humans are complying fully with the withdrawal order," he stated. "They are even ahead of schedule. Most colonies are already at 50% evacuation." His superior, a high-ranking Council official named Drez, seemed pleased. The decision was correct. Then humanity has accepted their place. Grell nodded, though something bothered him. It seemed almost too easy. If only they knew that beneath their feet in a vast underground complex, humans were manufacturing components for 50 new warship ships that would escort the colony vessels to safety in a hidden orbital station above Earth. Ambassador Tay returned from his mission to the Edge. "We are nearly ready," he told President Jin. "The bases there are established. Your daughter has done an amazing job preparing the way." Jin nodded with pride. "When the gateway opens, we will have safe places to go. Places the Council knows nothing about. And if they try to follow us?" Tai asked. Jin's expression hardened. "They will find that humanity is not to be trifled with. We leave because we choose to, not because they command." As the day ended, human ships continued their apparent withdrawal, all according to the Council's plan. But inside those ships and in hidden bases throughout human space, the real work continued. The hidden fleet grew larger every day. The gateway neared completion, and humanity prepared for the greatest journey in its history. The countdown to Exodus Day had begun. The day marked exactly 1 year since the Council decision. All across Earth, crowds gathered in public squares to watch the screens. Today was the official deadline for humanity to completely leave Council space in New Geneva. President Jin stood on a platform before the world leaders and billions of watching eyes. Behind her stood Ambassador Tay, recently returned from his secret mission. 1 year ago, Jin began, her voice steady. The Galactic Council decided that humanity was too dangerous to be part of their community. They ordered us to return to our home system and stay here. She paused, letting the words sink in. Today, I am here to announce that we will comply with that order. A murmur ran through the crowd. This was not what they had expected. Humanity will indeed leave council space, Jin continued, but we will not be trapped in one small corner of the galaxy. The massive screens behind her lit up, showing images of the hidden fleet, hundreds of ships now shown for the first time for the past year, while we seem to quietly accept the council judgment we have been preparing today. Operation Exodus begins. The screens changed to show a massive structure in deep space, a ring-shaped gateway larger than any ship ever built. The gateway, Jin announced, humanity's path to stars that the Council cannot control, in orbit above Earth. The hidden fleet broke cover ships coming out from hiding places all through the solar system. Council observers watched in shock as vessel after vessel appeared on their screens. On the Council homeworld, High Counselor Murlax was woken by urgent alarms. He rushed to the emergency meeting already happening. What is happening? He demanded. Counselor Drevel's image flickered on the main screen. The humans. They have built something. A fleet unlike anything we have seen before, and some kind of massive structure in their outer system. Murlax felt a cold fear building. Are they attacking? No. Drevel replied. They appear to be leaving. Back on Earth, Jin continued her address today. Humanity departs not just from the Council, but from this region of space entirely. The gateway will take us to stars beyond the Council's reach or knowledge. She turned to look directly into the camera. To the Council, I say this. You feared what humanity might become today. We leave you to wonder what we will become without your limits, in space. The hidden fleet gathered near the gateway. The massive structure began to glow with energy as its systems powered up for the first time on the flagship of the fleet. The HSS New Dawn Admiral Yo stood on the bridge watching as the gateway sparked with blue-white energy. All ships report ready. Admiral said, his first officer. Commander Dalio nodded. Humanity's greatest journey begins today. As the gateway fully activated, a swirling portal of energy formed within its center. Instruments across Council space registered the massive power surge, setting off more alarms. On the Council homeworld, the emergency meeting watched in stunned silence as their observers sent images of the gateway. What is that thing? Whispered one counselor. A portal of some kind, replied the Council chief scientist. But the power readings, they are off the scale. Murlax stood frozen. Where does it lead? Nobody could answer. The first ships of the hidden fleet approached the gateway. As they passed through, they disappeared from all Council monitoring systems on Earth. Jin watched the progress on her private screen. Beside her, Ambassador Tay stood, with his hands behind his back. Do you think they understand yet? Jin asked. Tay shook his head. They still believe this is about them. They do not realize we have moved beyond that. Not all humans would leave. Of course, millions would stay on Earth and the solar colonies. But billions had chosen to join Exodus to travel through the gateway to the unknown stars beyond. As the day went on, ship after ship entered the gateway colony, vessels carrying thousands of families, military ships providing protection, research vessels ready to explore new worlds in the colony world of New Sol. Governor Ho stood with Ran watching their own Exodus fleet prepare for departure. Will we ever return? Ran asked. Ho looked thoughtful. Maybe, but not as beggars. If we ever come back to Council space, it will be on our terms. The Council quickly gathered a fleet of their own to watch the human departure. They kept a safe distance. Weapons turned off to avoid any misunderstanding. When Council ships tried to scan the gateway or study its technology, they found themselves unable to get through the defensive systems around it. On the Council flagship, Admiral Krell watched with frustrated awe. How did they build all this in secret, right under our sensors? His science officer had no answer. The humans had somehow hidden their activities completely. By the end of the day, over half of the hidden fleet had passed through the gateway. Reports from Council space showed total confusion among the member races. In her office, President Jin got a message from High Counselor Murlax himself. President Jin, he began, his voice showing his worry. What exactly are your people doing? Jin smiled. Exactly what you asked. Counselor, we are leaving council space. But where are you going? That portal, that is not your concern anymore, Jin interrupted. You wanted humanity contained, instead you have set us free. As night fell on Earth, the exodus continued. The gateway shone like a new star in the sky, visible to the naked eye. Humanity had been rejected by the galactic community. Instead of breaking them, it had united them in a purpose greater than any they had known before. They would find new stars, new worlds, and perhaps someday the Council would regret the day they had turned humanity away. The command center beneath New Geneva. Captain Song prepared the final wave of ships for departure. All systems check out, she reported to President Jin. The colony ships are loaded and ready. The military escorts are in position. Jin nodded. The final phase begins tonight. Any word from the advance teams through the gateway song brought up a secure channel. The screen showed Admiral Yo standing on the bridge of the New Dawn, now somewhere beyond the gateway, Madam President. He said, his face serious. But happy, I am pleased to report that our scout ships have already identified 12 habitable planets in this region alone. No signs of intelligent life or previous settlement. The way is clear for our people. Jin felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Good Admiral, continue the exploration and establish the planned defensive perimeter. We cannot be too careful. As she ended the call, Jin turned to Ambassador Tay. What do you think, old friend? Have we made the right choice? Tay looked out at the gateway, visible through the command center window. The Council gave us no choice, but perhaps that is for the best. They feared our potential. They never considered what that potential might achieve once free of their restrictions on the Council homeworld. The emergency session continued through the night as more reports came in. The human fleet is now more than 60% through the gateway, reported one officer. The energy readings from the portal continue to increase. It appears they are accelerating. The Transit High Counselor Murlax stared at the images being sent from observation ships. They had expected humanity to protest, to argue, perhaps even to threaten when the deadline came. But this mass exodus to unknown space, this was beyond anything they had prepared for. Should we try to stop them? Asked one counselor. With what forces? Replied another. Did you see their fleet? They have more ships than we thought possible. And the technology. The weapons we can detect are unlike anything they showed us before. Murlax raised his hand for quiet. It is too late for that. We must observe and learn. What matters now is where they are going and what they plan to do there. On Earth, in a small farming community, far from the centers of power, an old farmer named Gil stood with his family watching the night sky. The gateway was clearly visible, a new bright point among the stars. Grandfather asked a young child, "Where are all the ships going to find new homes?" Gil replied, "Homes where we can be free, but why can't we stay here?" Gil knelt beside the child. "Remember how the neighbor put up a fence to keep our dog in the yard? What did the dog do? Dug under it." The child answered. Gil nodded. When someone tries to put a fence around people, those people find a way out. It's our nature, it always has been. As the child considered this, a new bright flash lit up the sky as another group of ships entered the gateway. Across Earth and throughout human colonies, similar scenes played out. Families watched the exodus together, some in sadness as friends and relatives departed, some in wonder at the incredible achievement of the gateway, and some in quiet determination, already planning when they would follow. The day of departure marked not the end of humanity's story, but the beginning of a new chapter, one written by human hands alone, free from council interference or restrictions. Whatever lay beyond the gateway, one thing was certain: the universe would never be the same again. 3 years had passed since Exodus Day. On the bridge of the explorer ship, Pathfinder Captain Nari stared in wonder at the scene before her. "It is beautiful," she whispered. The planet below was a mix of blue oceans and green continents with white Clouds moving across its surface scans showed an atmosphere perfect for human life. No intelligent native species, just plenty of plant and animal life. "Shall I tell the fleet?" asked her first officer. Lieutenant Junari nodded. "Tell them we have found new home." The Pathfinder was just one of hundreds of explorer vessels that had gone through the gateway. What they had discovered beyond had been better than all hopes. A vast region of stars untouched by the Council or any other space-traveling civilization they had yet met. Room to grow, room to build, room to become whatever humanity chose to be. In the years since the passage, humans had set up outposts on dozens of worlds. The military fleet had created defensive lines scientists had made, discovery after discovery freed from Council rules, and the gateway itself had proven to be even more revolutionary than expected. The original had been joined by two others, allowing travel between distant regions of this new space. On New Home, the first major colony ship landed on the northern continent. Governor Mi stood at the bottom of the ramp, breathing the alien air for the first time. "It really is perfect," she said to her aide. "Sang, the terraforming teams will not have much work to do." Here Sang agreed. "We can begin major settlement right away." Behind them, colonists were already coming out of the ship, faces full of wonder as they saw their new world. Meanwhile, back in the Sol system, Earth kept minimal diplomatic contact with the Council. President Jin had been followed by President Han, who continued the policy of polite distance. In his office on the Moon, Ambassador Tai, now retired from active service, met with a Council representative for the routine check-in of the year. "My government wishes to ask again about the nature of your gateway technology," said the representative. A tentacled being named Quarkstay smiled politely. "As I have explained before, that information is secret, but I can promise you that we have no hostile plans toward Council space." "But where exactly have your people gone?" Quarks pressed. "Our long-range sensors can detect nothing beyond the gateway. That is by design." Tay replied, "We respect the Council's wish to be separate from humanity. We ask for the same respect in return." The truth was more complex. The gateway had indeed taken humanity to a distant region of the galaxy, but it had done something else too. Something that even most humans did not fully understand yet. Back beyond the gateway, in the command center of New Home Colony, Governor Mi received a secure transmission from Earth. President Han's face appeared on the screen. "The Council is getting more curious," Han said without greeting. "They are increasing their watching of Earth and the gateway." Mi frowned. "Should we be worried? Not yet. But I want to speed up Phase 2. How soon can you be ready?" Mi checked her tablet. "The shipyards at Proxima Station are ahead of schedule. The new fleet could be working within 6 months. Han nodded. "Good. Because I do not think the Council is going to stay curious for long. Sooner or later, they are going to try to follow us through." What neither of them knew was that the Council had already tried exactly that. A small, unmanned probe had been sent toward the gateway 3 months earlier. It had never come out on the other side. The gateway's defenses had detected the unauthorized entry attempt and destroyed it. The Council had kept this failure secret even from their own representatives. Like Quarkson, a remote outpost near the gateway commander, Du received the automatic alert about the attempted intrusion. He had sent it to Earth security, but had not thought much more about it. Now, as he reviewed the logs more carefully, he noticed something unusual. The probe's signature did not quite match known Council technology. He opened a secure channel to Intelligence Director Bach on Earth. "Director, I think you should see this." Hours later, Bach was in emergency meeting with President Han and the Security Council. The probe was not Council technology. Bach confirmed. It appears to have been built by the Cranax. Whispers ran around the table. The Cranax were one of the most warlike species in the Council, always pushing for harsher measures against potential threats. "Does this mean the Council is breaking apart?" asked Defense Minister Gill. "Possibly," Bach replied. "Our sources suggest that not all Council races agreed with the decision to expel humanity. Some have argued for reopening diplomatic channels." Han's expression was serious, and others like the Cranax may be taking matters into their own hands. She looked around the table. "Speed up all defense preparations and send word through the gateway. All colonies go to security level 2 across the vast distances of human-settled space beyond the gateway." The alert spread. Defense platforms powered up. Fleet movements were adjusted. Civilian traffic was more closely watched. On new home, Governor Mi addressed her Security Council. This does not change our main mission. We continue to build to grow, but we do so with eyes open in orbit above New Home. The newly commissioned defense station Aurora kept watch. Its commander, Admiral Yun, studied the constant stream of data from sensor buoys scattered throughout the system. No sign of any intrusion, reported his sensor officer. Lieutenant Kim Yun nodded. Let us hope it stays that way. What none of them yet realized was that humanity's departure had changed more than just their own destiny. It had created ripples throughout the Council itself. Some races now questioned the wisdom of rejecting humans. Others feared what they might become out there alone and unchecked. And still others saw opportunity in the chaos in a secure chamber on the Council. Homeworld representatives from 5 species met in secret. The humans have technology we need, said the Cranax delegate. This gateway could change travel between the stars, but they will not share it, replied another. Not after how we treated them. The Cranax delegate's eyes glowed with determination. Then we must take it. In the darkness between stars, forces were gathering. The day of humanity's departure had set events in motion that would soon come full circle. And when they did, the universe would indeed change forever. On the colony world of Horizon Point, one of the farthest human settlements from the gateway system, Engineer Kay worked with her team to build something new. The plans came directly from Earth. Kay told her assistant, "This will be the newest version of the gateway technology. But it is different." How? Asked the assistant. Kay pointed to the schematics. This one is not just a door, it is a window as well. We will be able to see into Council space without going there. Why do we need that? Kay looked serious. Because Earth thinks we may need to keep watch, and maybe someday to go back. In the capital city of New Home, a grand celebration marked the 3rd anniversary of the founding. Teams of builders had worked day and night to create a central plaza with buildings that combined human architectural styles with new forms inspired by their alien surroundings. President Han had traveled through the gateway to attend the ceremony. It was her first visit to the colonies. Beyond, "This is more than I imagined," she said to Governor Mi as they stood on a balcony overlooking the growing city. 3 years ago, this was untouched wilderness. Mi smiled proudly. Our population has reached 1 million already, and this is just one of 20 major colony worlds. Han nodded. We have accomplished in 3 years what would have taken decades under Council oversight. That night, as fireworks lit the alien sky, Han addressed the colonists. 3 years ago, humanity faced a choice, she said, her voice carrying across the plaza. We could accept the limits placed on us by others, or we could find our own path. Today I see the result of that choice, a new beginning for our species, a future limited only by our imagination. The crowd cheered as more fireworks exploded overhead. What no one at the celebration knew was that at that very moment, a Cranax battle fleet was secretly gathering at the edge of Council space. A fleet with one mission: to capture the gateway technology at any cost. The countdown to confrontation had begun. 10 years after Exodus Day, the Council chamber was in uproar. They cannot just reappear. Like this, shouted one delegate, their translator barely keeping up with their anger. High Counselor Murlax, older now, but still in power, called for order. The human fleet has made no aggressive moves. They are holding position at the edge of Council space. But there are hundreds of ships, cried another delegate. Warships on the main screen. The image showed exactly that: a vast human fleet that had somehow appeared without warning near one of the Council's major trading hubs. Ships of designs never seen before, larger and more advanced than anything humanity had possessed when they left. We have received a message, announced the communications officer. They are requesting that the Council send representatives to meet with them. Murlax sank back in his chair. After all this time, why now? The answer would come sooner than he expected. On the flagship of the human fleet, the HSS Unity, Admiral Han, daughter of former President Han, stood on the bridge. Beside her was Ambassador J, specially selected for this mission. The Council is scrambling, reported Communications Officer Rin. Their defense fleets are being mobilized, but they are days away at best. Han nodded as expected. Are the Cranax ships still on course? Yes, Admiral. They will reach the Vega colony in about 6 hours. Ambassador J frowned. And they still do not know we are here? No. Our new stealth systems are working perfectly. Han assured her. They have no idea we have been tracking them for months. What the Council did not know, what the Cranax did not know, was that humanity had never really left. Yes, billions had gone through the gateway to settle new worlds, but they had kept watchers, hidden observers throughout Council space. When the Cranax had begun their secret military buildup targeting the few remaining human outposts, those watchers had seen everything. Now humanity had returned, not as beggars, not as refugees, but as protectors on the small human colony of Vega. The few thousand residents went about their daily lives unaware of the Cranax fleet approaching with weapons ready. These were the people who had chosen to stay behind scientists, diplomats, and ordinary citizens who believed in keeping some connection to the wider galactic community. Governor Lee received the encrypted warning from Admiral Han just as the colony's own sensors began to pick up the approaching ships. "Attention all citizens," he announced over the emergency system. "This is not a drill. Go to the shelter areas immediately." As the colonists hurried to safety, Lee contacted his small defense force. "Hold positions, but do not fire unless fired upon. Help is coming." In the Council chamber, the emergency session continued. When a new alert sounded, High Counselor called the sensor officer. "The Cranax battle group, it is breaking formation." On the tactical display, the Council watched in shock as the Cranax fleet, supposedly on routine patrol, suddenly sped toward the human colony at Vega. "What are they doing?" demanded Murlax. "Those orders were never approved." Before anyone could respond, another alert sounded. The human fleet had vanished from its position. Where did they go? Murlax stood, staring at the display. The answer came moments later as the human fleet reappeared directly between the Cranax ships and the Vega colony. Admiral Han's voice came through on all Council channels. "Attention. Cranax vessels. You are approaching a human settlement with weapons, active power down and withdraw immediately." The Cranax commander's reply was broadcast for all to hear. "This colony exists against Council orders. We are simply enforcing those orders." "No," Han replied calmly. "You are trying to destroy a peaceful settlement because you want our gateway technology. Technology you failed to steal when you sent your probe 10 years ago." In the Council chamber, all eyes turned to the Cranax delegate, who was suddenly very still. "What probe?" asked Murlax dangerously. Before the Cranax could respond, the tactical display updated again. More human ships were appearing not just at Vega but at key positions throughout Council space. Not attacking, simply revealing themselves, Ambassador J opened a channel to the Council chamber directly. "Honorable representatives, for 10 years we have watched you. We have seen the Cranax and their allies planning attacks against our people. We have seen others of you arguing for peace." Her image appeared on the Council's main screen. "Today we return not to rejoin the Council but to make something clear. The human settlements that remain in Council space are under our protection. Any attack against them will be met with force." At Vega, the Cranax ships found themselves surrounded as more human vessels uncloaked around them. "This is your final warning," Admiral Han told them. "Power down or be disabled." The Cranax commander made his choice. His ships opened fire. What followed was not the battle the Cranax had expected. The human vessels did not fire destructive weapons. Instead, they released a new technology, energy fields that surrounded the Cranax ships and simply shut them down. Engines, weapon shields, all went dark in seconds. In the Council chamber, the representatives watched in stunned silence. "They could have destroyed them," whispered one delegate. "But they did not." Ambassador J continued her address. "What you are seeing is a demonstration. In the years since we left, humanity has advanced far, beyond what we were when you feared us. The gateway took us not just to new stars but to new understanding." She paused, letting the words sink in. "If we had wanted revenge for our expulsion, we could have taken it at any time. Instead, we chose to build our own future on Earth." President Kang watched the events unfolding via the gateway's communication relay. Beside her stood the aged ambassador. Tay called back to service for this historic moment. Do you think they will understand? She asked him. Tay smiled slightly. Some will. Some will not, but they will all respect us now. Back in council space, Ambassador J made humanity's final position clear. We do not seek to rejoin the council. We do not seek your approval or your permission. But we will not allow attacks against our people or our allies. Allies? Merlax questioned. What allies? Jai's smile was polite but firm. In our exploration beyond the gateway, we have met other civilizations. Civilizations unknown to the council. We have formed new bonds, new friendships. The galaxy is larger than you know. This news sent another shockwave through the chamber, as the session ended in confusion and debate. Merlax requested a private channel with Jay. Was it all a trick, he asked when they were alone. Your agreement with our order to leave? Jay shook her head. No. We did leave. Most of us are still gone, building new worlds beyond your reach. But we never stopped watching. And when we saw the Kranax preparing to attack our remaining outposts, we decided it was time to show ourselves. And now we stay separate but in peace if you can control your more aggressive members. After the confrontation at Vega, the council was forced to accept the new reality. Humanity would not be confined, would not be controlled. They had become something new out there among the distant stars. In the years that followed, limited diplomatic relations resumed. Trade began on a small scale. Some council scientists were even invited to visit human worlds, though never through the gateway to the core settlements beyond. On the 10th anniversary of the return, a new monument was unveiled on Earth. A simple stone obelisk with words carved in many languages. The day humanity departed the Galactic Council was the day the universe learned that some stars cannot be contained. Ambassador Tay, now in his final years, attended the ceremony. As he looked up at the monument, a young reporter approached him. Sir, looking back, do you think the council was right to fear humanity? Tay thought about the question for a long time before answering. They feared what they did not understand. They saw our potential and thought only of the danger it might bring. He smiled faintly. They never considered that by casting us out, they would create exactly what they feared most, a humanity unlimited by their rules and restrictions. He looked up at the night sky where the gateway shone like a distant star. In trying to contain us, they set us free, and the universe will never be the same above. Earth orbit the newest class of human ships prepared for their journey back through the gateway. These vessels were unlike anything that had existed before the Exodus, the product of 10 years of unrestricted human development and collaboration. With the new alien civilizations humanity had encountered beyond, on the bridge of the lead ship, the HSS Future Captain Roy prepared for departure, course laid in for the gateway. Reported Navigation Officer Pio. Roy nodded. New home, here we come, as the ship accelerated toward the gateway. Its advanced engines barely visible as a blue glow. Roy thought about the journey humanity had taken. When the council had expelled them, they had thought it was the end. Instead, it had been a beginning. No longer bound by council rules and fears, humans had reached their full potential, creating not just new technologies but new societies, new philosophies, new ways of living. The greatest discovery beyond the gateway had not been new planets or resources. It had been humanity itself, what they were truly capable of when set free to find their own path among the stars. As Earth grew smaller behind them, Roy whispered the words now famous throughout human space. They tried to cage the stars. They failed.